8 lives gone in an instant.
Deborah, in the last few minutes, we'd heard from DPS who confirmed the names of 2 people who died in that fiery crash this morning.
On a quiet stretch of road near Batesville, Texas, in the closing days of 2023, a tragic crash claimed the lives of migrants and a suspected smuggler. The incident drew a spotlight to a forgotten corner of America, a place few have heard of, yet where the cost of survival is measured in risk, and sometimes in lives. This wasn't just an accident, it was a mirror held up to a town caught between poverty, isolation, and the relentless tide of human migration. Batesville is located in Zavala County, spanning just 5.9 square miles. The town was first settled in 1870 by Elijah A. and Ellen J. Bates, and was originally named Bates City, carved out from their family's ranch land. Set deep in southern Texas, Batesville sits about 20 miles southwest of Uvalde, roughly a 30 to 35-minute drive along FM 117. Even at its peak, it remained disconnected, never touched by the main railroad line. In 1909, when the Crystal City and Uvalde Railroad was constructed to link the two cities, the tracks veered south and east, bypassing Batesville entirely. This decision cut the town off from vital regional markets, stalling its economic development and sealing its fate as a rural outpost. In 1884, Batesville briefly held the title of county seat for Zavala County. Today, remnants of that early identity remain. Faded markers, a once active courthouse site, and quiet streets that echo a lost chapter of Texas frontier history. But by the late 1920s, the railroad had rerouted commerce and opportunity to nearby Crystal City. Batesville was left behind. Now it survives as a low-density agricultural settlement, dependent on state roads and small-scale farming. Its isolation has preserved a certain rural stillness, but also cut it off from growth, services, and safety. Geographically isolated and economically overlooked, Batesville, Texas, faces a complex set of social challenges, born from limited access, scarce investment, and generations of structural inequality. Over half the town's population lives below the poverty line, making Batesville the poorest community in Zavala County. The poverty rate here is 54.6%, far above the county average of 36.3%, and more than double the Texas state average of 13.8%. The economic struggle is clear in the numbers. Median household income in Batesville is just $26,227, only about 62% of the county median. Per capita income sits at $14,357, compared to $39,446 statewide. But in Batesville, poverty isn't just a statistic, it's a daily reality, etched into quiet roads, struggling farms, and dusty storefronts. As a remote agricultural community, economic opportunity here is scarce. Most residents rely on subsistence farming or small-scale ranching, where income depends on the whims of weather and thin margins. With no major highways or railroads, market access is severely limited. The job market is small, and outside investment rarely arrives. As a result, young people often leave, seeking hope in bigger cities. Those who stay behind, often elders, still rooted in a land that feeds them less and less. The town's Hispanic majority population faces additional hurdles in education and upward mobility, widening the gap of inequality. And in this atmosphere of quiet stagnation, tension simmers, tragic accidents, petty crimes like ATM thefts. These events don't just reflect desperation, they reveal the pressure beneath the silence. Yet even in hardship, the people of Batesville endure. They rely on one another, on shared history, on grit, because here in Batesville, to survive is an act of resistance. Life in Batesville, Texas paints a quiet yet striking picture of a community trying to hold on, despite being far from opportunity and left out of the system. With a population density of just 174 people per square mile, the town feels quiet, open, and isolated. Most families rely on subsistence farming and small-scale ranching to get through each week. Growing vegetables, raising chickens, tending goats. These aren't side jobs, they're survival. Water access is a constant issue. During storms or heat waves, supply lines often fail, leaving households without clean water for hours or days. It's one more weight on families already carrying too much. Still, there's something unshakable in this place. Neighbors check in on each other. Community meetings are held in modest halls or living rooms. People share food, news, and sometimes just silence. Because in Batesville, survival isn't just about income, it's about connection. But that connection isn't enough to change the odds. Without real investment in roads, in education, in economic alternatives, Batesville may continue to tread water, waiting for a tide that never comes. Even with all the strength the community shows, education remains one of Batesville's biggest barriers. And for young people trying to dream beyond the town, that barrier is hard to ignore. Since 1973, Batesville's school district has been absorbed into the Uvalde Consolidated Independent School District. That means every morning, students make a 35-minute drive, 33 miles each way, just to reach a classroom. Middle and high schoolers face even longer days. Their daily round trip is nearly 50 miles. That's more than an inconvenience. It's a strain on time, on money, and on the future. The numbers reflect the cost. High school graduation rates in Batesville sit at just over 70%, far below the Texas average of nearly 86%. And when it comes to higher education, only 11% of adults here have a college degree. That's a third of the statewide average. With no local school system, no reliable public transport, and no access to fast internet, education becomes something distant, abstract, difficult to chase, and in a place like Batesville, when education feels out of reach, so does everything else. Even in isolation, Batesville's greatest strength is its people and the quiet bonds that hold them together. Here, solidarity is survival. Local churches serve not just as houses of worship, but as shelters, coordination hubs, and emotional lifelines. They bring together families, young and old, under one roof, building a deep sense of trust and unity. In Batesville, every family feels like part of one larger whole. True strength here isn't measured in cotton yields or rainfall. It grows from social ties deeply rooted in hardship, from enduring droughts and rising costs, to the shrinking promise of a once thriving economy. But through it all, the people stand firm. When harvests are good, they share the surplus. When wells run dry, they share their water. No one is truly alone here. Hayden Maddox from Leona Valley Gin understands the harsh realities of modern farming. He's watched older generations quietly step back, and young people hesitate to step in. But not all hope is lost. A few loyal crews still show up, season after season. Some farmers keep going, despite limited irrigation, and a handful of apprenticeship programs quietly sow seeds for the future. Not far from Batesville, simple pleasures like the Frio Bat flight tours and private access to the Frio River offer more than just recreation. They bring families and volunteers together, creating moments of joy and small streams of economic support. These kinds of small-scale ecotourism efforts are beginning to open doors for alternative incomes, showing that opportunity doesn't always require massive investment. At the heart of this quiet revival is Inspired Hope Women's Retreat, held every April. It's more than just motivational talks. Participants plant gardens, build skills, and walk away with something rare, a sense of ownership over their own future. Through solidarity, hands-on participation, and a shared belief in better days, the people of Batesville are building something quietly powerful. Isolation and poverty still cast long shadows, but collective strength and mutual care light the path forward. Because beyond the forgotten roads and faded farms, there lives a community that refuses to give up. And in Batesville, Texas, hope is a harvest still growing.